Let's talk about how to create action scenes in Midjourney without using the phrase action scene. Now, don't get me wrong, action scene is a pretty effective phrase, but there are lots of ways that you can get creative with your prompting to get more dynamic scenes and higher quality results. This is a topic that I covered on one of my recent monthly prompt collections over on Patreon. I'll leave a link down below if you want to check those out. To make this a little easier, let's start with a simple foundation and use the following base prompt structure for 2 character action scenes. We have placeholders for character descriptions, the action they are engaged in, and a spot for some scene and aesthetic descriptors. Here's an example: 2 characters in battle training, close quarters showdown. And we get these dynamic battle scenes with armed warriors and clashing weapons. Here's another example. This time the action is a dynamic melee, and the aesthetic descriptor is photo taken with Kodak Portra 400 film. I found that including a film type can be really helpful for generating higher quality photorealistic action scenes, and I really like the motion blur effect on this one. I'll share a few other ways to get higher quality images in a minute, but we can also apply this prompt structure to something like sports action scenes like I did here with these 2 hockey players. And if you want something other than a photorealistic image, type your illustration style in the prompt or use a style reference. Here I used the Urban Omen SREF code from my SREF collection. The specific terminology that you use to describe your action scene can make a huge difference in your results. All of these images demonstrate a few ways that you can create dynamic scenes without using the phrase action scene. Here are more phrases that I shared in the prompt collection that can be especially useful for scenes that involve fighting. If you spent any time trying to create fight scenes in Midjourney or any scene where 2 characters are physically interacting, you've probably noticed that it can be difficult to get body positions and overall image coherence to look just right. Not only that, but Midjourney is still somewhat limited in its knowledge base and its ability to translate specific fighting stances correctly. For example, you're likely to be more successful on average if you prompt for a side kick versus a shoulder throw, because side kick is a much more definitive move visually, right? One leg grounded and one leg sticking out. But with a shoulder throw, there's more nuance in the positions of both of the characters, and when the characters are touching like that, we can get all sorts of confusion with where limbs should be placed and how many there should be. The upcoming V7 model should improve body coherence, especially once they expand the training dataset, but in the meantime, patience and creative workarounds are key for more challenging positions. Let's go through some tips for creating better action scenes, both in terms of composition and quality. We'll start with composition. Use directional words and phrases to tell Midjourney where things are relative to each other. Here I have the general scene, and then I get more specific. The motorcyclist on the left is wearing red, and the one on the right is wearing blue. I go further by saying in the background is the Miami skyline. Or a character on the left reaches toward a sword on the right hanging on the wall. These directional cues help Midjourney understand the spatial relationships between your characters and other elements in the scene and can lead to improved image coherence. Another piece to consider is your starting aspect ratio, which can dramatically change the output composition. Consider starting with an aspect ratio that works best for your character composition. For example, it's typically easier to get a full body image if you use a tall aspect ratio because it gives Midjourney that vertical space to work with. If your characters are more spread apart, try a wider aspect ratio. After you get your characters right, take the image into the image editor to reframe it and zoom out as needed to incorporate more of the surrounding scene. This approach can sometimes be more effective than trying to get everything all in one go. You can also try camera angle and distance phrases. I have a video on that I'll link. Low angle is a great one for action scenes because it can make everything look more imposing. Midjourney will be introducing a 3D feature in the near future that will let us change the camera angle, which will be extremely helpful for more difficult compositions. I'll share more on my channel when that comes out. Next, let's go through some tips for improving image quality in action scenes. My main observation while prompting for action scenes in Midjourney is that the dynamic nature of these scenes can make quality issues more apparent compared to static compositions. I've gotten results that are over or under sharpened, have weird coherence and body positions, distorted or unclear faces, or have too many unnecessary particles such as spray from combat or explosions. But I have much better luck getting good quality images when I clearly describe the characters, add one of my personalization codes, use a style reference, a mood board, or include a camera or film type in the prompt for photorealistic scenes. When I just let Midjourney do its thing without implementing any of these, I am much less likely to get a convincing action scene, and it's going to take me more job submissions to get there. And if you're not satisfied with the variety in your image grid results, try adding the chaos parameter to your prompts. I often use lower values like 5 or 10 just to shake up the results a bit, which can be really helpful for getting more diverse character positions to choose from. Even adding the weird parameter at a low value like 3 can help introduce some variety to the results. As I mentioned earlier, getting realistic body positions with the current Midjourney models is not always easy. For more challenging poses or even facial expressions, you can try including an image reference at the beginning of your prompt in addition to getting creative with your prompt text. This technique isn't foolproof, but it can sort of provide Midjourney with a visual guide for the composition that you're trying to achieve. And if you're using a character reference with Midjourney's V6 model, you're going to need some patience if you're working with multi-character action scenes. Consider creating a starting image using one character reference first, and then replace one of the faces with your second character reference. I have a video you can check out for how to create images with multiple character references, but creating action scenes with multiple characters is about to get much easier. The V7 model is coming with a new omni-reference feature, which is expected to be more accurate, not just for characters, but should also work for objects, scenes, and animals, so keep an eye out for that. Now, while I focused on action scenes in this video, many of these techniques like directional prompting for compositions and image quality improvement methods work well for other types of images. And if you enjoyed this video, then consider checking out my monthly prompt collections over on Patreon. As the title suggests, I make one every month, and I also post other Midjourney tips and send out video notifications. Before you go, please consider liking, subscribing, all the things. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.